opportunity to segue into the Man City versus Arsenal review. So, a lot of analysis here and there. People have been saying, coming up with their different conspiracy theories. When a lot of people say it was a ball fest, a lot of people said it wasn't a game, it was an anticlimax. Looking at how the game has been prepped prior to the international break, during the international break, how a lot of people were looking up to that game. People thought it was going to be a thriller. But, unfortunately, Arteta had, he pulled a rabbit out of the hat, and he was able to stand toe to toe. At this point, he was smart, and he was not trying to outdo Pep, which he has always been doing or trying to do in the past. I think he had to cut his cloth according to his cloth at this moment. He knew what he wanted. He knew picking a point is not bad. Like I mentioned in other football platforms that I've been talking, I said this period of the season is where the mental calculation will come in, where a team can drop points. You can drop points here, but you don't have to lose. You can draw, but automatically pick up the other points in winning the other games. But what's your take on the game? Would you say it's haram football, or did you say Arteta packed the bus?
I think that game has to be one of the most exciting football matches I've watched.
A lot of people would differ.
And for
neutrals would differ.
But that's one. FIFA, I wonder what exactly you are watching. And I think for most of them, for anyone who says the game didn't live up to expectation, they were probably expecting a lot of goals in the game. But let me remind you, Mikel Arteta has 3 career wins over Pep Guardiola. The first one was an FA Cup semi-final, 2-0 victory. The second was a Community Shield final. Fine, a win over penalties, but a win is a win. And then the last was the first game between Arsenal and Man City at the Emirates this season in the Premier League. It was a 1-0 win. So I say that to allude the fact that Mikel Arteta knows how to get a victory against Pep Guardiola. Now, in other competitions, and more specifically playing Man City at the Etihad, there has been no luck for Arsenal, even on that.
Since 2015.
And then going into this, but then going into this fixture, knowing the importance of this fixture and how important it's going to be in the chase for the title, I think I was very impressed with what I saw from Arsenal, not just from Arteta, but the players as well. I must give kudos to every single player who put on the Arsenal jersey yesterday. And I must give kudos to Arteta as well. I have seen maturity in his thinking. One major thing that I think always affected Arteta a lot at the beginning of his career with Arsenal is the fact that he's an Arsenal fan. So sometimes his emotions get the best of him. And I always believe that he always made a lot of rash decisions, impromptu decisions. But yesterday he showed me that he has grown as a human. He kept his emotions in check. But most importantly, as a coach, he showed me a new dimension to him, which I was very, very happy to see. And for me, for someone like me who loves tactics, I must say it was a great tactical display from both teams. Now, for Man City, no Kyle Walker, no John Stones. Usually, you see them build up with a 4-2-4. It was quite different for Man City yesterday. And to me, it looked like a 4-2-5. I would say a 4-2-5 because I saw Ortega, who for me I felt could have been exploited more by the Arsenal strikers. He came out a lot. He was very comfortable on the ball. He came out to join a back four, and then you would usually have him having Kovacic and Nathan Ake as well. And then pushed out wide was Diaz and Vardy. Diaz, who is meant to be a centre back, Vardy was playing left back, right or right. He was pushed out as well. And then in the middle of the park, or rather up front, you have Akonji up top, who then allowed the likes of Bernardo Silva to move inward, and then same thing with Foden as well. So I like the tactical display. And then for the Arsenal players, they went to one-on-one with these Man City players, which no team in the Premier League has done this season. Arsenal were still playing the way they want to play from the back. Honestly, I was very, very impressed with it. And I think for me, Guardiola, I paid a lot of attention to Man City. Guardiola used different variations and different formulas. I saw football in different transitions from Pep's side. And honestly, I learned a lot from him tactically. It was a great tactical display, but at the end of the day, Haaland was not able to hold his own against Saliba and Gabriel. I think Saliba and Gabriel were an absolute menace. I would not want to be playing against those those boys are something else. And then I then take a look at the height profile of the Arsenal team, and I can then see through at Arteta's tunnel vision. In the second half, when Pep felt that a couple of Arsenal players are tired, maybe it's time to run them raggedy. He brought on Jack Grealish and Jeremy Doku, and then Arteta responded bringing on Takeru Tomiyasu and Thomas Partey, two 6 foot plus players who are eager to game for themselves, who are eager to get back in the starting lineup, who have had a couple of days rest and are hungry. And honestly, they did well when they came on. Tomiyasu coming in for Kiwo, who did exceptionally well for me. I felt Kiwo could be a weak point for Arsenal. That wasn't the case. He held his own. He only got dribbled past once, and he was decent. I think honestly, since Arteta took out the major responsibilities of inverting on him, he has been much more comfortable playing in that left back position. Tomiyasu came in and did a good job. Ben White, wow, £50 million defender. I think he's absolutely worth it, and I think he's one of the most unsung heroes of the Arsenal team. Martin Odegaard, I've seen that in the big games, this guy gives 110%. I don't know where the energy comes from, but he starts leading.
Yeah, with the press, he was so impressive with the press.
Always directing play. Honestly, he was. Kai Havertz also put in a good shift, but I think towards the end of the game, especially in the second half, I think he was losing a bit of energy to give a bit of final ball. And then, what would I say about Gabriel Jesus? He will always create chances. Chances will always be created for him. Converting is the problem, but I think he put.
Well, talking about Gabriel Jesus, sorry for interrupting there. A lot of Arsenal fans have problem with him because they tend to say he disrupts the flow up front. And you could see yesterday when Arteta made those changes, took out Gabriel Jesus, brought in Trossard, and also brought in Martinelli, you could see that the transition was quick, was fast. But that's a question I want to ask you. Was Arteta late in making the substitution? Should he have done the substitution earlier as compared to waiting till like 79th or 70-something minute before making those changes, bringing on Martinelli, bringing on Trossard, and also Partey?
No, I see those changes coming from a fitness point of view for those players. For the first time in 3 months, Gabriel Jesus played 70 minutes of football. Before the international break, he had been building up, playing 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then 30 minutes. So for me, it was a case of fitness. I think he needed to be on the pitch for that long to test himself and to push himself forward. Because we've got other games coming up. The Arsenal is also involved in the Champions League. So the squad is going to be rotated as soon as possible or frequently. Gabriel Martinelli had been out as well, so he didn't play the last game against Brentford, if I'm not mistaken. So I think those changes were made based on fitness issues and giving players minutes that they need and not using them more than what they could go through. I think the only change that you'd say maybe could have been made earlier was maybe Trossard. But then again, who was Trossard going to come in for? I think Bukayo Saka should have left the game a bit earlier.
Yeah, he was out of that game. He wasn't in that game in any way. He wasn't.
Yes, he wasn't able to cope with the intensity of the game. And so for me, I think he needs to work on his cardio and probably up that a bit, considering the fact that he didn't play a game for England during the international break. So he probably needs to work on that aspect of the game. But then he's young, he's 22 years old. It might have been overwhelming for him. But then again, I think Trossard should have been brought in earlier. And speaking about Trossard, the major turning points of the game could have been when Trossard should have probably dropped the pass earlier. So you see what happened with Trossard is my major problem with Gabriel Jesus over time. I think a lot of times what frustrates Arsenal fans is the fact that Gabriel Jesus takes too many touches on the ball. Sometimes he should just release it one time and he should let the ball flow. But when you know what you know how to do with the ball, you would always be confident when you have the ball at your feet. But I think for a system of play which you know that it will always be successful and there will always be someone ahead of you, you should always learn to release the ball as soon as possible. And I think if Trossard gave that one-time pass to Gabriel Martinelli, we might be having a different conversation here this evening. So those were the major talking points for me in the game. But I think those subs were made at the right time, considering when Man City also.
So, quick fire question: do you think this is a setback for Man City? Looking at Man City in this whole race for the EPL title, they're going in for a fourth pit, and to be ridiculous if Pep does that, do a record set. Do you think this is a setback? This dropping points. Looking at Man City, won any of the, they've not won any game concerning the big six. The big six here are Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Aston Villa, and yep, against these five teams, they've not really won. They've only picked 1 point against Arsenal, picked 2 points against Liverpool, lost to Aston Villa, only won Manchester United home and away, and also picked 1 point against Spurs. Though they are yet to play Aston Villa and Spurs in the reverse fixtures, and if they fail to win, is that the end of the title race for Man City?
I think for Man City, the result against Arsenal would affect the players mentally. I think that's what will affect them the most. And it's up to Pep to regalvanize his players to let them know that, okay, yes, you faced a tough Arsenal side, but you didn't lose. Look at the positives, look at the chances you were able to create, look at the fact that you were able to penetrate and give them a good game at the end of the day. So, for me, I think that's the way Pep has to put it to his players. It's quite surprising that aside from Man United, in the traditional top six, they've not been able to get victories over the other teams. And for Arsenal in particular, Man City did not score a goal in both fixtures in the Premier League. So that says a lot. And I think something is missing in this Man City team. Could I attribute it to injuries? Maybe. 3 games when Rodri didn't play, they lost 3 games. De Bruyne was out for a long period of time. It took them a while to get going in front of goal. Haaland was out as well. I think they've not just had proper synergy in the team for a while, for a long period of time. But then again, knowing a Pep team, they should have been able to carry on irrespective of the absences to these key players. But I think Pep probably made key mistakes in the transfer market. I think now that we're deep into the season, I can say that I think letting go someone like Ilkay Gundogan and not getting
there was no perfect replacement.
Yep.
There was no perfect replacement for
exactly.
Gundogan.
So maybe but I think when you want to let go of a player like that, I think you need to look forward and look fast and get someone else that can replace him in that profile. It's quite obvious that if De Bruyne doesn't play, no one else can do what he does. So that's a problem. I take a look at the fact that Cole Palmer has now scored 13 goals in the Premier League, and I think Pep made a bad decision by letting Cole go, considering the fact that we had already, and then bringing in Jeremy Doku. I think Jeremy Doku has been very underwhelming. You take a look at his 7 goals and assist contribution, and a bulk of them came in the game against Bournemouth. So I don't think I need to speak further regarding that. I think he should have kept Cole Palmer, and probably should have signed another player who can deputize in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne. Phil Foden is an outstanding player, but also he's quite young. So sometimes he gets missing in big games like this, and he doesn't come up with the goods. So it's been a difficult season for Man City, honestly. And I think the fixture congestion, everything has suffered from it. But one thing that you cannot deny is the fact that there's quality in depth at Manchester City. And sometimes overconfidence has stopped them from being clinical.
Now, looking at that game yesterday, 8 central defenders started that game. Maybe that was what culminated to it being a ball fest. Looking at the defensive lineup of Man City, like we heard, that was the first time they will be paired together, or that will be the first time this season they were going to play a game together. Gavadio, Ruben Diaz, Akonji, and Ake. Though Ake pulled out in the first half. Arsenal is all Kivior, Gabriel Magalhaes, Saliba, and also White. 8 central defenders. So, and obviously, maybe that was what made it a ball fest. But now, looking at Arsenal, just for us to round up this conversation or this episode, was that an opportunity missed? Because looking at it, if Arsenal had won that game, looking it through the tunnel of Liverpool would want to be in this running or in this title race with just one team and not 2. They would prefer it to be Arsenal because they feel they can go toe to toe. They wouldn't want Man City to be in the mix. But Man City, we can't cut them out. They are still in the mix, still in the race for the EPL title. Was this an opportunity lost for Arsenal to finally, bury Man City, because right now Man City is a bit down, but they can still come up. But was that an opportunity missed for Arsenal to have buried Man City and out of the title race completely? Is it a ghost that could come back to haunt them on game week 38?
I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. I think the points picked up by Arsenal was very pivotal for them mentally at the end of the day. It would have been so much better if they did win the game. But I think the Arsenal players will be proud of themselves going to the Etihad Stadium, considering the fact that they've played Man City 3 times this season, they've not lost. I think it's going to be a huge mental boost going into the remaining fixtures. If there was any game where you could say they were going to drop points, you would obviously mention Manchester City. So fine, 2 points dropped. But then you go into the remaining fixtures, go into those fixtures with the mindset that they are all finals and going with the mentality to win. I think it was a very, very important point. I don't think it's going to come back to haunt them. And I think it's left to Arsenal to just go ahead and get victories everywhere else. And when I say everywhere else, I mean at home to Chelsea, I mean away to Spurs. Look, they need to get the job done. I mean away to Brighton as well. If you really want to win this trophy, there's a reason why this is the most competitive league in the world. You need to get victories in different. You need to get a victory away at Wolverhampton Wanderers. You need to get a victory away at Sports Stadium. You need to get a victory away at Old Trafford. If they're able to get victories in these games, they can definitely win the trophy. So it's up to them. So they need to just win every other game going forward.
Fingers crossed. Because the remaining 9 games, it's going to be really scintillating games to watch. But, Arsenal fans will be praying for Liverpool to lose or Man City to drop points. Liverpool fans will be praying for Arsenal and Man City to drop points. Man City fans will be praying for Liverpool and Arsenal to drop points. I think the last time we had this kind of title race was in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, if my stat serves me right. I'm going to do
Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City.
Yeah, I'm going to do that check. But for us football fans, it's fun to watch because every weekend we're anticipating for good games to watch. Thank you very much, Okwe. Thank you for being on the show today, for discussing today's topic. And there are matches tomorrow, week 31. We'll be looking out for those matches as well. And who are the people? Who are the regular people we're looking out for here? Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal. Liverpool welcomes Sheffield United. Man City welcomes Aston Villa, and Arsenal welcomes Luton. So let's look out for these 3 games and see what's going to be. And we'll be back to discuss this coming weekend. Please like our videos on YouTube. If you have not subscribed, please use the subscribe button and subscribe on our YouTube channel. And also please click the notification bell so you can be notified for when our videos drop. And please, when you watch our videos, just please click the like button because there's something it does, the algorithm. It helps push our video out there for other people to see. From us here, we'll say thank you very much and have a nice week ahead.